This time I'd like to call to order the 10 April 2023 Jackson County Commission meeting. I'd like to welcome everybody here tonight. We have a number of topics in our new business portion of the meeting, as well as in our work session, and I think we do have an award in presentation tonight. So at this time, I'd like to ask Ms. Johnson, the Assistant County Administrator, to please call the roll to establish a quorum.
District 1, Commissioner Gully.
Present.
District 2, Commissioner Finley.
Present.
District 3, Commissioner Butler.
Present.
And District 4, Commissioner McBride.
Present.
We do have a quorum. Thanks for everybody being here. And if everyone would please stand, I'd like to ask Mr. Porter, our county attorney, to please offer invocation, and Commissioner McBride to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray together. God, our Father in heaven, we're truly blessed. We're so thankful for the blessings you give us to live us in this wonderful community. We do thank you, God, for these blessings. We also ask you to protect us from evil in this world. It shows its head all the time, and God, we are so mindful of those families that have been affected by the shooting this morning. We pray that you will be with those families and give them comfort and peace, as we know that you can. Be with those that have been injured. God, we pray that they'll be healed. God, we do pray for your protection from the evil around us. We're thankful for the men and women who serve us in so many different ways, in law enforcement and firemen and all those that protect us and serve us every day. Be with them and be with their families. We're thankful for them. Watch over us and guide us. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In the packet, do have an agenda, and since published agenda last Thursday, we do have a couple of requests for additions. Those additions will be in our Public Works area. One will be item F2, and that's an update on bonding rebuild Alabama status, and F3 status or update on County Road 245. Also a request under commission, item 1, and that will be to discuss TBA in lieu of taxes for volunteer fire departments. So at this time, do I have a motion to approve the 10 April 2023 agenda with the mentioned additions?
I make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Do I have a second?
No, second.
We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Any awards and presentations tonight? Okay, sir. Chief Deputy Mr. Rocky Harden, please, if you would introduce that for us.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioner. On behalf of Acting Sheriff John David Jordan and retired Sheriff Chuck Phillips, I'd like to, it's my pleasure to give an award today, a life-saving ribbon, to the third deputy this year that's received one. And due to these actions by these deputies, we have 3 citizens in this county that are still alive today. So I want to read a letter by his sergeant, Sergeant Manuel Baca. It is a great pleasure that I write you today to nominate Deputy Hunter Franks for the Jackson County Sheriff's Office Life Saving Award. I believe that Deputy Franks deserves a Life Saving Award because of his quick response and the use of the CPR training which saved the citizen's life. The incident which occurred is documented in case number 222010 and described below. On December 20th of 2022, around 9:14 p.m., Deputy Franks responded to a residence on County Road 88 in Pisgah in reference to a suicide attempt in which a male subject had shot himself. Upon arrival, Deputy Franks, on the arrival of Deputy Franks, a male subject was found to be on the ground, bleeding and unresponsive due to a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Deputy Franks immediately initiated life-saving techniques by checking for breath and pulse. Deputy Franks was able to determine the subject was not breathing and showed no signs of a pulse. Deputy Franks then initiated CPR, which consisted of chest compressions. After numerous chest compressions, the male became alert and stated that he was hurting. The male subject was transported via air evac to Huntsville Hospital. Deputy Franks conducted a follow-up with the spouse on a later date and learned that the male subject was going to live. Deputy Franks is a highly motivated and highly qualified deputy who's continuously demonstrated his ability to lead and excel. Deputy Franks' quick thinking and selfless act went above the call of duty and brings great credit to himself, the Sheriff's Office, and Sheriff Chuck Phillips. It's men like him that preserve my faith in law enforcement profession and help maintain the faith and trust of the citizens. I believe that this act of valor should be recognized. I'm sure you do too. I appreciate his act of courage and bravery and take this opportunity to request consideration. So on behalf of the Sheriff's Office, I'll ask for Lieutenant Randy Arnold, Sergeant Baca to come up here. I'd like to present life-saving ribbon. Deputy Hunter Franks. Next, let me get a picture. Congratulations. Slide. Chairman, if I might add, these deputies respond to these type calls on a frequent basis, and it is certainly a pleasure when we see these kind of results come up. And thank you for your work, the whole shift. The entire staff of Jackson County Sheriff's Office does a great job. We know you appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Let me offer any comments.
Yeah, I'll do my best on this. Officer Franks, thank you. You saved a friend of mine, and now I know you didn't do it because you knew the man you're doing your duty, but the man you saved that night was a longtime friend of family, and I just can't imagine what you found that night. I can't imagine what he was going through that night himself, and so I thank you for doing your job. It means a lot to me. Thank you.
He's actually a homeboy of mine. He's raised down in the Woodville area, so great job. Proud of you.
Anyone?
Thank you, Hunter.
Well, let me say thank you very much. And thank you for the department recognizing the act that we had here. I think all of us see our deputies that are out on the road every day and doing the duty to protect and serve the citizens of Jackson County. And it doesn't matter whether it's like this, saving the life of someone, or out in a tornado event, spending all night riding the roads and checking the roads and taking care of people and looking into people's lives there. The Sheriff's Department of Jackson County does a tremendous job of taking care of our people and providing for their safety and protections. So thanks very much to every one of you for what you do. Thank you. At this time, do we have any public comment? So I gather we do not have any public comment tonight. Okay, so we'll move into the new business portion of our meeting. Again, guys, thanks very much. We have several items in the new business portion. First is, in the packet is the minutes from our meeting of March the 27th, 2023. At this time, do I have a motion to adopt the minutes from the March 27, 2023 meeting and work session?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. Next, at the last meeting, we discussed the job descriptions for the EMA director and the deputy EMA director. Those job descriptions are in your packet. Do I have a motion to approve the job descriptions for the EMA director and deputy EMA director?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion. To have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. In the packet is two quotes for the HVAC unit at Public Works. At this time, I'd like to call forward our Director of Maintenance, Mr. Colby Gand, and to discuss these quotes.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Commissioners. It's pretty much the same as what I put out last time. Central is going to be our cheapest option on those units.
And recommendation,
That is my recommendation, would be to go with central heating and cooling.
Southern Heating and
No,
Cooling.
Central.
I'm sorry?
Central.
Central Heating and Cooling, okay.
So Southern was for repair, Central's for
Well, no, there's
replacement.
Southern, there's two, the one was, the first one on there was for the repair of those. And then there should be one that shows what replacement cost would be for Southern. And then the other one's just replacement cost. It was gonna cost us half of what it would cost to buy 2 new units just to replace them, to fix them. So my recommendation would be to fix the units, to have all new technology in there. Those units, their warranties are up, the current units that are up there, so.
Okay.
And I mentioned this last time, and I was just wondering where we were on this. Does this include us keeping the units and having them for parts, or is this removal of the units?
I mean, they would remove the units if we wish to keep them, then we can keep them. But, you know, it's just to get to where you're gonna put them to keep parts on them. We don't have anywhere to keep them where the parts would still be usable.
Are they in condition to sell?
Sir?
Are they in any condition to sell?
No.
Scrap.
That would generally be the only way we could recoup any money from them is to scrap them.
And what's the age of these older units that we're replacing?
16 years old.
16, okay.
I definitely want you to explore the options of keeping for parts or scrapping or.
The biggest thing that we run into on those units is they're so old that the parts don't match up cohesively with the new units.
Okay, the issue before us is the approving the quote and the supplier, contractor for the HVAC unit at Public Works. So the recommendation is central air conditioning service for replacement of the HVAC units at Public Works. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the quote for central air conditioning services, replacement of HVAC at Public Works?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
We have had several discussions about the intersection of High Top Road and State Road 79. That is in certainly need of repair and widening, and we have a letter of agreement in your packet between Alabama Department of Transportation and Jackson County Commission for roadway improvements on High Top Road at the intersection of State Road 79 at milepost 11254. Do I have a motion to approve and sign memorandum of understanding with Alabama Department of Transportation for High Top Road and State Road 79?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion, to have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you very much. We have discussed in previous meetings the transfer of a vehicle from mapping and appraisal to the Council of Aging. This vehicle has been serviced, I understand, repairs made to it, and it is ready for transfer. In your package, you have a certificate of title for the vehicle. Do I have a motion to approve the transfer of a vehicle from mapping and appraisal to Council of Aging?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion, to have a second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
We have a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Last item on our new business agenda tonight is a recommendation from a hiring committee for filling a vacant custodian position in our maintenance department. The letter from Jackson County Maintenance Director, Mr. Colby Gann, is in your packet. It is for recommendation to fill the vacant custodian position at grade 4, step 1 level. Do I have a motion to approve the hiring committee's recommendation for the vacant custodian position in the maintenance department?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. That concludes the new business portion of our meeting tonight. We will now move into the work session. We do have several items. The first is a discussion item. It is an addition that we added to the agenda. It is under commission, and it is to discuss that TVA payment in lieu of taxes for our volunteer fire departments. Mr. Spencer?
All right, so for those who don't know me, I'm Bob Spencer. I'm the president of the Volunteer Fire Association. And the association members asked me to come and talk to you and just start the open dialogue about the TVA in lieu of tax payments. Currently, the association is asking for the payments that are $7,500 that's in the TVA in lieu of tax money that we get annually. It's currently in 2 installments every 6 months. They're wanting to see if we can change that to just 1 installment, with the understanding that with that, that's a significant cash flow to you guys from going from just 1 payment to 2. That's probably in the neighborhood of about $82,000 of changing, and it's just cash flow side. We do understand at the beginning, we fully agreed not to take the lump sums, to spread the payments out to help everybody. We also agreed we would do it in the 6-month purpose and not a monthly, to reduce all the paperwork of trying to get 23 checks out every month and track them. But now conditions from that have changed for us. You know, we're facing a lot of challenges, and a lump sum would be a lot more easier for us to manage and help with the volunteers fire department, especially the departments that aren't associated with the city that are out in the county. You know, they don't have any backup if they need to pay a bill on that side, where the other departments do, being based from the city side of the house. So with that, we're also, you know, we want to team up. There's the easy side is just do like the one-time lump sum payment, but we would throw out on the table if the payment was made in the August time frame, we would be able to, instead of sending the checks out, we would take the responsibility of collecting the checks and getting them to the fire departments. In return, the fire departments give us the accounting information that's required in the bill in Section 8. And then we would collect all that and then return that to the county commission by the September 30th deadline that's required in there. So we would in turn, if we could work this out, we would do a majority of all that work on that side and then return you a package. All of that stuff is not happening today. It's, I think, randomly coming in back and forth, and probably putting a lot more pressure on your workforce in there, trying to keep up with it and collect it. So all I'm here is just to open a dialogue, not to have any agreements or make any kind of decisions, but just kind of give you guys the direction of which we would like to head as far as the association and with the county commission, and working with them to kind of see if we can go down this path.
I did have a discussion with Mr. Bob Manning, our county administrator, on this. He asked that you come by and have a discussion with him. There are a couple of things. He thinks that this probably does not require a vote of the commission. It's just a matter of how he executes the check, because the amount of money you get is the amount of money that you get.
Yeah, we still get the same amount.
Yeah.
It just complicates it.
And he just needs to check to make sure that from an auditing standpoint that we're okay with our auditor, that we're okay with that process. So I will ask him to get in touch with you, Bob, and set a meeting up and do that. And if we don't have to go through an approval process, we'll let everybody know that that's county administrator to you, and that's just a matter of how he executes the distribution of the check.
Works for me.
Okay.
That's fine.
Is that fair with everybody?
Yeah, and again, I don't know how you guys do it. Thankful for the volunteer firefighters. It's goodness. just, I've talked to Rocky about this numerous times. I mean, the folks that come to us when we're in our greatest need, and knowing the sacrifice of the volunteers and the hours and the drain on your family, and so many of you chip in your personal fortunes to make safe for others, and so thankful for that. And so I think to me this sounds like something that would help y'all.
Yeah, we're just trying to take one more brick out of our wheelbarrow. We're trying to make things
That's
go
good.
smoother for all of us.
So, thank you.
Certainly beneficial for the smaller departments, getting that
Yes.
money in ahead of time. And for us, getting the accounting taken care of, that would be beneficial for both groups.
We definitely want to work together on both of
Yeah,
those.
absolutely. Thank you.
If I could add to what Commissioner Buckner said, the other night when we had the tornadoes, I was riding with Rocky, and the volunteer fire departments were out everywhere. And they're the reason that most of the debris was cleaned up by dawn that morning that were on the roads. And they enjoy doing what they're doing.
I don't know.
You can see.
I don't know about that.
Well, I will say that.
And keep in mind, the way everything's set up, even to go clean a road, that's all based on donations. That's all based on people, the community contributing to the fire departments. They will do that on that side.
And thanks for everything. Anything else? Chris, anybody?
No, thank you, Bob, for all you do. Bob's been very instrumental with me in helping to get some relief to the Hog Jaw Valley folks. So Bob's been around a long time. He's always been very good to work with.
Thank you, sir. At this time, we'll move to the next item. It's under probate judge's office, and it's a discussion of new poll pads for our elections.
Yes. So I just wanted to mention this so we can start talking about it, and so we don't get caught like we did last time with those the handicap machines that we did. You know, they expired on us. We had to get rid of them. So our poll pads we've had for several years. A little background on those: we had some HAVA money left, grant money, and we paid for the majority of those out of that, some $30,000 to $40,000, and then the commission at the time chipped in a little bit to help finish that up. Right now we're about 50%, I would guess, 50% covered with poll pads, and I guess let me say to start with, these are not vote machines. Nobody votes on these, okay? This is when you go. I know Stevenson has them. I know that Scottsboro does. Several of them out on the mountain. If you have 500 registered voters in your precinct or more, you get an electronic poll pad, and you swap your driver's license, and that shows that you're a registered voter. It makes it a lot more efficient for the board of registrars when they return voter credit. Streamlines the process. I know at Scottsboro you had about 6 tables, and it had the letters of the alphabet, and you had to pick a table and stand in line. You don't have to do that with these. So it's really streamlined everything. It's really made things a lot better. But these don't count votes, okay? So let me say that. I don't want anybody to think that. So when we did this, like I say, it was between $30,000 and $40,000 we did, and we got half of them. We need to be working toward getting every precinct with a poll pad. Give you some reasons why. When everything's returned, we still got several that use notebooks. So you go and you sign by your name, you print and sign by your name, and we hope that that's on the right line, because we have had issues before when you have juniors and seniors. You have somebody that signed on the wrong name, and somebody shows up, and it's a task to get it fixed, because can you just imagine, especially in today's climate, when you show up and you say, well, you've already voted. That's not going to work. So I have talked with ES&S. That's who we use for our last ones. I don't have an exact estimate. I wanted to see what you guys thought, if we need to start pursuing this before I started asking them to come up with a client. It's probably going to be, especially replacing what we've got and getting them for all of the precincts, it's probably going to be $50,000, $60,000, I'm assuming. I can't promise that, but I can tell you that we do have a few spares, and it's every election now we're having to take a spare out. Okay, so again, if anything on election day looks hinky, then people start thinking that. Okay, and this has nothing to do with voting and tabulating votes, it's what we've done to make things better and to make the whole process more efficient. The new design they have, it's a whole lot smaller, it's a whole lot better. I could actually have them come and show you one, show you how they work compared to them. If you guys want to start talking about this, if y'all want to do that. I didn't want to jump the gun and have somebody work up a quote and fly in here and say it's going to be this much money, and you guys say we can't do it this time. So I just wanted to go ahead and start a conversation.
So what kind of turnaround time do you think would be on placing an order? I mean, what's the urgency on this?
I mean, there's not any great urgency right now. We just got, we're going to have an early primary next year.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to get them in. We have to do training. We got to do all that kind of stuff. So it's nothing we got to vote on in the next 2 months. That's why I wanted to try to come to you guys early, start talking about this. Because if you want to, that's fine. If you don't, if we go through the cycle with these next ones, I mean, whatever you guys do. But we certainly don't want to get to the point where you vote half a day on one of these old ones and it freezes up, it messes up, and then you have to go to a notebook. You see what I'm saying? Because it complicates things a whole lot. So I'm not asking for this to be put on the next meeting to vote. I just want to start talking to you guys about it, see what y'all think. If y'all want to have somebody to come, if you want to have somebody from the company to come to talk about it. But we are behind. We're one of the few counties left that still use the actual written list.
Have any idea of cost?
Just a guess, I would say $50,000 to $60,000. And keep it in mind, that price is going to be there eventually anyway. I mean, you're going to have to buy them, or go back to doing paper, which I would absolutely discourage. And when I say paper, that's writing in a notebook that Paul Kennemer voted. I wouldn't be for that. I mean, I think you need to improve it every chance you get. So just off the top of my head, I don't want you, if it's 30 or 70, don't say I told you it was 50 or 60.
You alluded to Scottsboro having 5 or 6 sign-up stations, and now they don't. So is this a human savings that could be factored in?
Absolutely. We're not using near the poll workers that we've used in the past. Now, with that in mind, the Code of Alabama tells us that we have to have 1 inspector for every machine and 3 clerks for every inspector. Okay, so there we have 3 machines, but I mean, you said they used to have probably between 20 and 30 poll workers. We probably have about 15 now. So it's made it a lot more efficient. The folks that a lot of people quit when we started using them. They didn't want to learn something new. So yeah, I mean it is. But as far as out in the rest of the place, Stevenson has 8 people. That's because by law you have to. We have to appoint 1 inspector for every machine and 3 clerks for every 1 inspector. So that's by law that we have to appoint those.
I definitely think we need to go ahead and look at getting someone by to demonstrate and look at some comps.
I think that's wise. And if we do it before the next cycle, that'd be fine. It's going to be an early primary. We got plenty of time to do it, but this is going to happen eventually anyway. Mm-hmm. So if we put it off, and then what you don't want to happen is you don't want to have the election going on election day and something, and we don't get me wrong, we have issues, but we attend to them. I'm out on the road. I usually have a couple of my ladies out riding around and making sure that everything's going fine. Most of the time, it's just a little user error, okay? But then we have had some that we've had to take another poll pad out there, and change it out. Now we have when we've had one that would work, that we bill for, we have somebody from the company that comes on election day for that purpose right there. Now that's an election expense, and the way that's divided back with if there's a federal election, state election, I don't know how that stuff goes, but that gets billed back to them. So that's not just a cost that we're absorbing, but we're going to keep doing that anyway because anything can happen. But we're starting to have more issues.
And so you say it's going to happen anyway. Are you saying that they're going to go down, or that we're going to be required to have them?
No, we're not required to have them, but no, they're going to tear up. I mean, it's a. Where you voting? You voting in town? So you know what I'm talking about? So it's just an iPad. So you just imagine how long you've had an iPad, you use it, and it gets banged around and everything. So it's eventually they're gonna tear up, and you're gonna have to make a decision: do we replace them with iPads, or do we go back to the notebooks?
Okay.
what would you expect to be lead time, which would place some order for the pole barns?
I honestly don't know. I'll tell you what I can do. I intend on coming to the next work session, I'll get on that. I can get you some of those, I can get you some numbers, I can have somebody at the next one, or I can find out what the lead time is, or I can have I've got a guy from the company come, and he can answer all those questions for you.
Reason I ask if we could, depending on lead time, we'd have to either do it in this current year's budget and make an amendment to it, or we would maybe could look at next year's budget as
Sure.
we approve that on the
Sure.
30th of September.
Okay.
So lead time's part of that question we would ask, looking at it, looking at the cost. and-
I can have somebody from the company come to the next meeting.
Okay,
I'll do my very best to do that. Fair enough? Yep. Any other questions?
thanks. All right, thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
You don't move as fast as you used to.
need some help? Next on the agenda is we have a couple items with our park. Asked Director Perea to come forward, please. Two items are disposal of old furniture in the cabins and the potential of a park store lease. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. So as we move forward with replacing our current furniture, some of which have been identified as needing immediate replacement, just due to wear, tear, and damage, it brought up an issue of how do we get rid of the old furniture. Some of it, while it might not be useful for a rental situation in a cabin, might still have life left. And I want to kind of give you my recommendation of donating it to local charity, nonprofit charities, for if they would like it for their use. Currently, I have 3 couches that are being replaced and 3 mattresses.
Okay. Yeah, by all means, I mean, exhaust measures on that, because I know some of the churches have, do offer the overnight for homeless, and those, and of course, the couches definitely need to be in a home, so.
Okay, and let me ask, to do that, there's no issue with that?
There should not be. They would have minimal value if anything.
Okay.
Just one other idea too. I mean, if you go that route, that'd be great. Nursing homes, you never know when they might be able to use that kind of stuff.
All right.
Now, let me ask, is this an item we need to vote on, given that it is county property that?
You will need to declare it surplus if you haven't already done that. So it'll go off of our inventory.
Okay. So we could do that at next meeting, bring forward that to have a motion to declare it as surplus? Okay. All right, thanks.
Moving forward with the park store lease. Looking over the last lease, I think we are at a pretty great disadvantage if we were to extend those, or not extend, but continue using those same numbers. These were numbers that I was able to put together, and with these we can kind of see what direction we want to go in. Previously, the lease agreement was from the months of March to October, they were paying $500 a month, and from November to February, $250. So at $250, the boat rental spaces that we allow them to use isn't even covered. So we are essentially just giving money away. The store itself is 864 square feet. And if we are charging 87 cents a square foot for the 8 months, half that for the 5 months during the winter, because they close up shop. So that's fair. With the addition of 3 boat slips at $150, water and trash at an average of $50 a month, and charging them for storage of their trailers at $55, puts us at about $1,000 a month from March to October, and $500 from November to February.
Okay. What is our current cost relative to the store?
Current cost, the store is paid for. So essentially, it's not costing us anything. We're paying for trash and water that they're utilizing. because again, it's on the same system that the restaurant and all the docks are on.
Okay.
They pay their own electric and gas.
Okay, so that's in the current lease
Yes.
that we have. The question another question I've got is, I understand they are already doing some work
Correct.
under what, you and I have talked about this. Apparently, they were told by the previous leaser that he had talked to the commission and was approved to sell. He has the current leaser sold.
It is my understanding it has changed hands.
He has sold the business but we still need a new lease. And so our decision is what would be an equitable lease price. Okay. So first, I would like you to get in touch with Mr. Clemens and find out who he thinks he talked to in the commission and gave him authority to sell property without clearing with the commission and clearing the lease. Because his lease is still in effect, I would guess, because he has not terminated it with the commission. And he is currently paying. He is currently paying.
Well,
I would say yes, he is,
the
because
entity that's wanting to take
he has
over
the lease.
have currently, they've picked up the bill and started paying.
They have started paying?
So we accepted money from them?
Yeah, have we accepted money from them?
Let me verify, because the bills did get sent out to the address on file.
I don't think we can do that without a lease.
Well, you can.
We can? We can take a donation?
You can always accept money.
I'm sorry?
You can always accept money without, just because you accept the money does not mean that you have validated
I got
their
you.
right.
That was going to be my question.
Okay.
So, yeah, because whoever pays your rent,
Mhm.
thank you, Sugar Daddy.
That does not relieve Mr. Clemens from any obligation, just because they're paying the bill. They're
Okay.
still obligated.
What is,
Well, I was
what
thinking
is
we
the
were getting-
liability?
I was
situation?
thinking we were getting a donation.
Go ahead. What's the liability if something were to happen between a transfer of the lease?
No additional or different liability.
So, but it would fall on Mr. Clemens at this
It would
time.
fall on Mr. Clemens. He's still the lessee.
That's, yeah.
Okay.
So it's
Until he's
still-
released from the class.
I like your proposal. I mean, seems fair. I mean, what do you?
No problem with it.
Okay. So at this point, what we need to do is put together a lease agreement based upon these lease values and put that in front of them and like we did before, get their comment on the lease. And
Does
we're,
Mr. Clemens need to come in?
he needs to approach the commission or you and request, I would presume, termination of the lease, and then we would have to approve that termination.
Okay. All right, I will try to get that set up.
You may want to let him know that he is still has all the liabilities that are expressed in the lease. Thanks for working this.
Yes, sir.
Is it one or both of the brothers that's in the lease?
I understand that they're partners, so
Thanks very much. Next, Council of Aging. Every year that we establish and sign a grant with ALDOT. So let me turn it over to Director Chad Coleman to discuss ALDOT 5311 grant application.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Commissioners. I believe you all have a little packet in your there. What this is the 5311 grant. It's a federal grant. And it allows ALDOT to secure federal funds and pass them through down to us. So like Chairman said, every year we have to go through a grant application. It's about 60-something pages that we have to to fill out for our rural public transportation program. And in the grant itself, the funds are broken down into modes of expenses. So you have operations expenses, administration expenses, and we, this time, are requesting a little bit of capital expenses. And the grant, the match changes every year. So this year, the grant allows for operations to be at a 50% match, administration to be at a 20% match, and capital to be at a 20% match. So that's it's the same as it was last year. So for the FY 2024, ALDOT, this is a positive to us. ALDOT is allowing us to place our tire and maintenance costs into the capital category, which means we only have to pay 20% match versus where it used to be 50%. So that'll save us approximately $3,500 just by them allowing us to do that, which is a positive. So if you guys, the first page after the cover sheet, 5311 funding summary, that'll pretty much cover what we need to discuss. B is the category that you need to look at. That's the local funds. That's the local match from the commission. If you go down to the bottom, the total's $172,335. That's how much the local match will be, which is about $3,000 less than last year. So we were able to move some things around and trim a little bit. So that's our projections that it will be $3,000 less than what it was last year.
And this will be for our 24 budget?
This will be for the 24 budget.
Okay.
So our contract revenue, which our contracts are with Mountain Lakes Behavioral Health Services and our nutrition program, we're estimating about $30,200 of revenue from that. And our fare box revenue is about $23,000, and we estimated both of those on the lower side. So those numbers come off the top. So what we will approach, hopefully in the new business of the next meeting, is for you guys to sign the resolution for the 172. So that's just a little overview of the funding that goes into it.
So we're all clear. We signed the resolution and we put it in our 24 budget.
Correct.
24 budget.
That's correct.
Okay.
So when we sit down at the budget table, we will go off of that number.
Okay.
So this allows you to apply for the grants?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to do, it's kind of crazy because we got to do this in April and May, but budget time is not until July, so it makes it kind of difficult. But we try to get the number as close as we can, and we think we're pretty accurate with that number.
And we have to have the grant submitted by May the 1st?
Yes, so I'll need it to be.
All right, so we need to be on the next meeting agenda.
All right. Yeah, it's curious. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
All right, just help me. Fare box, what is that?
That is the fares that we charge the county residents.
So, okay, all right, so cost for using the services.
They take that off the top of operations,
I got you,
right off the bat.
I got you.
And then our contract revenue, we can pick to where we can put it, but it makes sense to put it where the 50% matches versus the 20.
Right. All right, and so contracts with the two entities, Mountain Lakes and Nutrition Centers, is that rent for the space that they use, or what is?
That is where we go into a contract with them that we will pick up and deliver.
So you're providing transportation.
So we're guaranteeing them that we'll provide transportation. So you have a fuel rate, a mileage rate, and an hourly rate that's all calculated into those contracts, which I have to bring in front of y'all. I think they come up in July.
Another question.
Sure.
This is unrelated to the grant, so you gavel me down if it's wrong time to ask. But so in the COA, which is a beautiful piece, is there any available rental space there? And that's what got me thinking about that if these people were actually renting for space, then maybe a similar business or service could come into that building.
Yes, we do have rental agreements that are available. The way they're set up now, though, is it has to be for a senior-related service.
Which, yeah, again, so something similar
Correct.
could be located there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and you do have space available.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then, of course, the other, and I've alluded to this before, the space, the
big
meeting
room.
hall,
Yeah,
is that rentable space? Okay. And are we advertising that, and then we're having
Yes.
much success on that?
I think we've had two that's utilized it. So it's not being utilized a lot, but it is available and it is out there. People know.
So what I would like, this is my request, and let us help advertise that. It is the space. And so if it's, what are the conditions which somebody could rent that space, and who do they need to contact, approximate price and all that, and then we will help advertise that through social media and things of that nature. Because to me, that's a generator that could help your operating costs.
One thing we need to consider doing that, we need to have a lease use agreement everybody signs that they're responsible for any damages and they're responsible for all cleanups.
That's something we
and
probably I need to let you look at, come back in a while, and then bring it back to you guys and let you make a decision on that.
Because again, I mean, every time I'm over there, I'm thinking, boy, wouldn't this be a wonderful place for it? And just lots of ideas flow through, because it's just such a beautiful venue.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, we'll put it on new business for next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
And thanks for the operation runs very well over there. Thanks for everybody's service. Next on the work session agenda is in the maintenance department, job description for apprentice. And I think okay, Director Gann.
Thank you. I have talked with the chairman a little bit about this, but we wanted to bring this up. We have, Michelle, is it in the packet? So you got everything? Okay. We have the job description for the apprentice maintenance person, lawn maintenance, apprentice maintenance person. And we went through it and updated everything based off what the job would foretell. But we're asking for this in the maintenance department for several reasons. One, it can help with our work order workload. Two, it can save us on some lawn maintenance. Did a lot of looking into some contracting this spring, and the prices have really gone up on getting some contract lawn mowing done, especially when certain areas are needing to be mowed, every 10 days instead of every 2 weeks, and it starts adding up quite a bit. And after talking to Michelle, the chairman, I decided if we could, we'd bring this up and let the commission make a decision on it, if we could add this position back to the maintenance department.
What salary are we looking at?
It's a grade 6. It's already on the classification plan, so you don't need to classify it because it's there. It would just be in addition to the journeyman. So in the past, we've had both positions, but we've only had one of the two filled.
Okay. So this is an open position in the maintenance department?
It's
right now.
classified, but both have never been filled in the past.
It's part-time?
It would be a full-time position.
Equipment?
We have all the equipment we need to take care of our lawns.
Do you think that the cost of fuels, maintenance, and whatever equipment would?
I feel like that having an employee on the payroll to do this work, we would get a better value from it. It may cost us a little bit more to have someone on the payroll than to have it contracted, but we would be in full control of when things get done and how they get done.
Okay. Any other questions? Put on the new business agenda next meeting?
Thank you.
Thank you. Next in our work session is from HR and Director Willis, job descriptions for park.
So we talked last meeting about having the park job descriptions on the agenda for the work session. You have a org chart for the park. You will notice the only job description that is not in your packet is for the office manager, assistant director, because that was approved a couple months ago. All of the rest are in here, which is the director, park maintenance, lead, and park maintenance. So we have went back and forth with Stephen and reviewed those thoroughly, and we're just asking that you review those as well, and that they be placed on the next meeting.
A reminder for all of us that we're going through department by department, upgrading job descriptions to make them more compatible with, I guess, what we got out of the Auburn study
Yes,
in terms of job descriptions and
That's correct.
structures.
that's correct.
Okay.
Ms. Willis, just for my own edification here, my understanding of the chart, you got Stephen at the top with his assistant,
Mhm.
and then we've got a park maintenance lead that has folks under them, but then we have another park maintenance that's directly under Stephen. Is he directly reports to Stephen, or is he?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. That makes sense.
Is this a pay grade change of any kind?
On these?
Yes.
No, sir, they're all the
Okay,
same.
this is just a,
Yeah, no classification
Update.
changes, just updating the job descriptions so that they're current, accurate, and useful.
Okay, so these are for review, and we'll take that up new business next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next, in Public Works, we have 3 items. First is just a quick note that Jackson County has been awarded an A-TRIP grant for County Road 19. Next is status of bonding Rebuild Alabama, and then some discussion on County Road 245. So let me turn it over to our county engineer, Mr. Kimball.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. I'll start with the Rebuild Alabama Infrastructure Bank update, and I'll be working from some pages that are stapled together and look like this. I'll go through those quickly. The first is the Infrastructure Bank. It's an amortization schedule on top, and then $6 million breakdown just below. The second page should be a classification sheet, and that's our classification of roadways and our systems. And I would draw your attention to that of the major collectors, which are highlighted in purple. Last sheet is probably familiar to you. It's our asset pavement management asset list. And these sections are projects, previous projects listed, have a condition rating. Those are the colors. And then the purple designation on the left column designate that major collector. The last sheet is also hot mix pavement inventory, and a couple of those projects are highlighted, and I'll speak to those as it relates to this breakdown. So back to sheet 1. I'm not going to get into this, and the reason is the depth of getting into this until we learn the terms that will apply to our potential bonding. Would really dictate how this goes. But just quickly, there's a breakdown on the left side, and that's 15 years amortized, and it's pay-go, assuming a 7.5% inflationary rate. So that number at the bottom would be what we would receive after 15 years, assuming that 7.5% inflation erosion over the course of that. The next column is essentially the same with the bonding money applied. The bonding money applied is $2 million per year for the first 3 years, and for those years and all the additional years, the reduction in payment due to the debt service. So that same number, assuming a 7.5% inflationary erosion, ends up with actually the nod going to the bonding figure there on realizing at the end of 15 more money than pay-go. Next set of columns, the next 2, exact same scenario, exact same modeling, with assuming a 3% inflationary erosion, and you can see how it switches the other way. So until we learn the exact terms and then look at other items that relate to Rebuild Alabama as far as law and statute, this is just for your information and thinking. Below is a $6 million breakdown and really the purpose of tonight's discussion on moving forward with this application. So in order to move forward with this application, as we've discussed before, we must identify roads. Specific road numbers, maybe not necessarily detailed cost estimate, but specific road numbers and a cost associated with that work. It is my understanding that we would essentially be assigning placeholders. So nothing have I read or been told that later on, once we get to the point of wanting to go with this or agree to the terms, that we can't finitely adjust what projects are selected or make substitutions. So considering our asset inventory of hot mix resurfacing network, hot mix preservation options within that network, our local road inventory, and our bridges, 3 million on each of those, 550 and 400,000 local road and bridge. So essentially that 2 million per year for the first 3 years, we would propose to you that it be obligated in hot mix resurfacing and hot mix preservation. And we'll show you those projects and why on the next sheets. The other money that we would continue to get would be our Rebuild Alabama revenue that we receive now, less debt service payments. So having that additional work in those first 3 years would allow our other revenue, because it's not time constrained, to go toward local roads and bridges. So over the course of 3 years, that would amount to 24 miles per year, and then 1 to 3 bridges potentially during that time frame.
And that is just rebuild money, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Rebuild and federal aid exchange. So
Okay.
it gets all lumped together and called rebuild, but there was actually a swap in that. Okay, so the next sheet would kind of justify and shake out that 12.5 miles for hot mix resurfacing and the 24.25 listed there for preservation. And I'm going to the sheet that has the colors and the projects listed. So we made the selections of these projects based on a couple of criteria. Primarily the fact that they are all major collectors with the exception of a few projects listed on the second sheet. But by understanding the fact that $6 million does not take care of all the needs represented in this or aging assets, then applying.
Stupid question. There's lots of highlights here. So you're saying the county road number that's highlighted is the roads that you've selected?
On the left-hand side where it says county road number, the ones that are in purple would coincide with, those are all major collectors.
And next page would be the ones in yellow, or the ones you selected?
That's correct.
Okay.
So I guess the primary thing to look at if there's one, now these selections weren't made with any nod to beat lines or any consideration on location where they were. We went strictly on the asset and the age and the strategic approach to trying to minimize the age in pavement or stretching the amount of funding as far as we could within the program. So the column on the left where the purple is designating, that coincides with the purple routes on the map, certain sections. But in most particular, it is the age of the pavement in which we were targeting. So we were trying to pick up major collectors that were ready for resurfacing. And when you see the red or an aging yellow, that's an indicator that we're about to be at a condition to where something must be done regardless. So minimizing the liability within the age rank and staying within the major collector category, we felt like was the largest bang for the buck and would be most consistent with previous requirements within ALDOT funding when it's placed with us. There were a couple exceptions, and that's probably best seen on the second sheet. 14 and 314 are listed, and they were selected basically because of the age. So it's a 23-year-old pavement, and we're to the point with that to where we're going to have to do something soon with the condition of that. Also, 18 is selected. It's a high-traffic roadway. Both of these are essentially cut-through routes. They're local roads that have been hot mix, surfaced with hot mix pavement, and they're highly traveled and critical routes. So with all of these projects listed, and the 14, 314, and 18 added to it, that brings us to about 2.9 million for resurfacing and 2.935 for the pavement preservation category.
And based on the bonding, if you were to select these roads, then everything you've got highlighted on those last 2 pages would be done in the 3 years.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And we would propose to you that we start with the oldest first and start working down. But it would be, our goal would be 2 million per year that we would allocate to that and spend that. And then on the side, we would be working about 8 miles of local roads and then be moving toward 1, 2, or 3 bridges depending on the selections made as far as that. But the one critical fact is that the bonding money must be spent within those first 3 years. So one of the surefire ways to do that is the resurfacing, utilizing contract efforts to make sure that we get that work done. And then the local road, which is the longest length for preparation and could potentially be the longest, that could be working in the background, but that money rolls over, so it's. Now, we offer this as a suggestion. Obviously, the list of roads is there. If we want to change things at this stage, again, I'll just say I think these are really placeholder road selections to let them see a model, to understand what we're doing. So, but if we want to make substitutions, or if you guys would like a short list to choose from instead of these straight suggestions, we can work any of those scenarios to best fit.
So I know there's one road on here we talked about in the work session that was potentially something that could be part of another grant, the 47. And so if that were awarded, you're saying that if we found another revenue source for that, then something else could be slotted in that place. Or did I dream this?
That's correct.
I don't think I did, yeah.
7, yeah. That's the road that's up by in Powell.
Yeah, we've tried every way to try to get this thing in on something. Like what the chairman spoke about in the work session, we do have reason to believe that we may realize about a $500,000 federal fund grant, potentially.
Okay.
That would be a great candidate for that, in my opinion. If that were to work out and that project were to be selected, then yes, we could just, substitute or alternate.
Have you looked at your selection of local roads?
We have not. We haven't looked at anything.
That doesn't have to go in your...
No, yeah, actually that would just be an internal county discussion and nothing to do with the bonding group or the infrastructure bank.
The question I have and put on the table is we discussed in the session the other night, work session. Most every call we get was the 1, 2, or 3 miles from the major minor collector to the house that people live in. With this approach here, you're getting 24 miles over 3 years, but is it reasonable for us to look at an option of where we would put, I'm picking numbers now without much information, without any information, but if we did 5 miles of your hot mix and preservation and added 5 million, and added $1 million to your local roads. In terms of roads we can get in 3 years, we could service a lot more of the local roads with that and still get, I don't know how many miles. With what you have now, if you look at this, you're getting, as I add up, about 61 miles of roads with this current allocation. Is it worth us considering allocating some of the bonded to some local roads?
Yes, so as I understand the bonding, there are no restrictions necessarily on type or classifications. It's complete choice of the commission. I offer this to you for a couple of reasons. The deadline to complete the work, and also the fact that $6 million, it's just not that much money when you look at the grand scheme of our assets. So spending that money in that time frame allotted and applying it to the roads where most of our cars are and our major routes, that would be our major minor collectors. And really, there's not enough money here to cover, based on the conditions that are listed on that sheet, to even get into the minor collectors. So it can go in any of those categories, but that's why we chose these.
Okay. I will say I do like the idea of getting some bridges here. We do know that our situation with bridges is getting critical. Any other questions?
No. I do have one request, Jonathan. If you're going to print maps, I need some glasses.
Yeah, so I have a bigger one.
Yeah.
Just in case. But I do need that back from the tail. It's
Well used.
It's covered some miles. That's really just for reference. And the purple, when you look at the county map and you see the purple, that's designated by ALDOT and that's designated by Federal Highway Administration. So I feel certain in telling you, if we are spending our money on our critical routes that are in need, that I think that's our best chance for their approval and support.
So the step we're trying to get to is we've got to submit something to the infrastructure bank or to ALDOT for them to get us back the information on bonding. And what would be the interest rate, what would be the total debt service amount, and all of that data. We don't have that until we get this into them. We're not committed to anything until we get that back and we make a decision based on that data. I would say again, I think we ought to also ask other bond service organizations to come to give us their take this, so that we are looking for what is if we want to consider this, what is the better deal. And the last comment from me is finding money for roads next year is going to be tough. All we've got in the budget next year is Rebuild Alabama for about $1.1 million and Federal Aid Exchange. And anything we can pull out of available funds, but that doesn't look going into the budget year to be much. So at the same time, we're considering what we do with County Roads 38 and County Road 93. And so we've got to take all that into consideration. So I would believe that you did say that we're not, if we submit this list, we're not absolutely in a situation where we have to abide by this list as we execute the program. There is an opportunity to change that over time, as we see.
I haven't been apprised of anything that would hold us to specifically this plan, so I can make sure and note that these are placeholders and there are 10 as of now as far as informed, but as we progress and the conditions of roads change, so could our priorities.
I believe we gave you authority to proceed to get the application submitted. This is part of the application information needed. I don't think we need a vote on this. The next step is getting the information back on the bonding process and cost and making a decision whether we want to proceed or not.
Okay. If it sounds agreeable, then we'll move forward with the application, making the application ready.
Okay.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Update on County Road 245, discussion on that.
So we were asked back in February or prior about interest of the town of High Top to partner with the county in resurfacing of roads, and primarily it was it was due to the lack of roads owned by the town, but it was also a way of them to support our efforts for their local area on road selections. And their understanding that the roads that were selected for the local road programs, due to its limited amount, the roads are in very poor condition that get selected. So their partnership, like High Top Circle, was of their interest to explore with other routes. 245 was one mentioned by the mayor to us. 249 was mentioned, as well as a section of 107 that was not included in our local road program. So we were asked to take a look at those roads, and those estimates were provided to you all in previous discussion. But 245, I think, is the road that has most of the discussion is centered around, and without the ability to reach further and do more roads, is their primary and top priority of interest. So just as a reminder from previous estimates that you guys had seen in discussion last week, 160,853.30 was the estimate for County Road 245 in its entirety, and that is from County Road 33 to State Route 79, and that's a 2.9 mile section. Now there is a half a mile section and perhaps a little more that's on the south end of that from County Road 33 north that's in very poor condition. So it would take care of that as well as resurface the other, but it would just be 2 layers on the other versus the reclamation in 3 on that half mile section. So the numbers that were provided previously in that estimate should hold true to current day pricing.
Okay. Any questions?
And that's not counting the 60,000 they've offered.
Yeah, so I didn't know what the actual number was. It's my understanding that the town is willing to put up to 60,000 toward this project. And I believe that was the same as High Top Circle.
Okay. So I would propose that we consider this as we look at the other projects that we have got to do. This too would have to come out, given that where we are in our current budget year, this would probably have to come out of our cash balance, which is going to have to service some other projects that we have. So we need to take a look at what right now we're looking at in terms of the cash balance and where that would be. I would ask, is there any way that if this were only, some of this year's work is going to occur in the next fiscal year. We talked about it at the work session of the day. By the time you finish this up, we're going to be into next year with our 23 road program.
Yes, sir. It will go beyond October.
So could we put this in that way we could look at it in next year's budget?
Yeah, whatever you guys would like to do with that offer that the town has.
Go ahead, I'm all in favor.
I make a motion, we set aside the rules and vote on this, because I think we need to save money. We can pave nearly 3 miles for 108 grand after they give us $60,000. That's just my opinion.
My concern is that's $120,000 of money we don't have in the budget this year that we are going to have to take out of our cash balance to do this project. And I think we need to understand what the implication of that is. We've got time to make this decision this year if we decide to make it this year. So I'm just giving you my view. So.
I've made that motion.
Okay, we got a motion. We have a second. Okay, if no second, we'll take this up in a follow-on work session. Thanks very much. Real quick though, County Road 19 A-Trip grant. We applied for that last year. The governor has allocated funds for that. And so that will be added to part of our 23 road program. Okay, with that, that's all we have in the work session. Reports from the staff, county administrator, county engineer.
County Road 8 will close tomorrow. So that is at the railroad crossing. The Norfolk Southern will be doing rail repair in that area. It's unrelated to the project, but it's within the project where work took place today. So that is scheduled to close from 8 to 5.
Okay, county attorney.
I don't have anything, thank you, sir.
Okay. Any other department heads?
Jackson County Sanitation Department, they have their new roof on their building now, so no more leaks over there.
Good work. Okay, we will now move to comments from commission. Commissioner McBride, District 4.
I'd just like to remind people to keep those in their prayers who were involved in the shootings this week. And y'all keep safe. Thank you.
Commissioner Buckner, District 3.
Yeah, I just want to say is, the other night, coming home and just seeing the sky lit up with the emergency lights, knowing the guts it takes to do what y'all do. And I'm very, very appreciative of you, Rocky, and the leadership that you've done and carried on, and it's well appreciated. And I'm just thankful to live in an area that even though stuff happens, we know it's going to be dealt with. Appreciate that.
Commissioner Kennemer, District 2.
I have nothing this time.
Okay. Commissioner Gully, District 1.
Keep everyone in your thoughts and prayers for the shootings this week, and hope everyone had a safe and happy Easter. Just happy to be here. Thank you.
Okay, I have nothing to add. So our next meeting date is 25 April 2023. Time will be 5 o'clock. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion to have a second.
I'll second that. Okay.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much.